All right, we're getting our first pullback in metals, and this should tell us how strong the intermediate rally is going to be. So a couple of things. We've broken the intermediate trend line here, so that's a confirmation. Let me switch over to the weekly charts real quick. All right, so price has moved above the 10-week moving average, which is roughly the same as the 50-day moving average. And the moving average is turning up. That is another confirmation that we put in an intermediate cycle low. Right, so if this was the last week of the intermediate decline, then this would be week 1 of a new intermediate cycle, week 2, and then we're beginning week 3 this week. The odds of an intermediate cycle topping on week 2 are pretty slim. I don't know that I've ever seen one in anything really. Usually, even if a intermediate cycle is going to left translate, it will usually rally at least 4 to 5, maybe even as many as 8 to 10 weeks before topping. One could make a really weak case that this was an intermediate rally, although it didn't rally far enough to turn this 10-week moving average back up, which kind of leaves this questionable as to whether or not this was actually an intermediate degree rally. But even so, this would have rallied 3 weeks. Another reason that makes me question whether or not you could count this as an intermediate rally. But I don't think there's much chance of an intermediate rally topping on week 2. So I think this is probably going to turn out to be a bull flag pattern that then continues higher. Just gives this moving average a little time to catch up to price. We made a huge move a week ago, and now we're working off some of that move. So, well, we want to watch the RSI here. You can see it embedded in the overbought condition. That's another sign that we're in the advancing phase of a new intermediate cycle. And then when you're in the advancing phase of an intermediate cycle, oversold conditions don't tend to hold very long before another rally starts. So I would keep an eye on this the next day or two here and see if RSI can come down and tag an actual oversold condition here. Then we would expect price would bounce pretty quickly from that oversold condition, and we would start another leg up that would presumably make another higher high. Now, if price can't even push this to oversold, then that would be a sign of a very, very strong market. If a corrective move doesn't even have enough power to push it down to oversold. So if this were to bottom with RSI still holding well above an oversold condition, that would be a sign of a very strong intermediate advance. But assuming that we do continue to correct here and do push this down to an oversold level, then we would expect the bottom to come pretty quickly once that oversold condition is achieved, and then another rally would start long before price could get down here and make a lower low. So all the signs are there that we're in an intermediate advance. We're in at this point anyway, we're in a completely normal pullback, and so far one that's been very mild, has not even pushed the RSI back to oversold yet. It may, but if it does, then I would expect the bottom to come really quickly once that oversold condition is achieved, and then another leg up to begin. Again, like I said, I don't think there's much chance of an new intermediate advance to top on week 2. Seems very unlikely to me.